Good morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you're doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing fine. I hope everyone's having a fantastic Thursday so far, guys. Really appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining me today, you absolute legends, guys. Now, guys, before I start, please, you know the drill. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, please. And don't forget to smash a like. Team 50, 50, 50, 50 every single morning. Excuse me, on Breaking Dawn. Goodness me. Now, guys, look, I'm going to get straight into the news. Now, could Bruno Fernandes be about to leave Manchester United in the summer? Now, according to reports around the globe, including here in Italy and TalkSport in England, how much weight you put on that depends. But I'm hearing here in Italy that Bruno Fernandes is considering leaving Manchester United at the end of the season. Man United captain Bruno Fernandes is strongly considering his future away from Old Trafford, various reports. The midfielder was close to leaving a year ago for the Saudi Pro League, and they remain strongly interested in the Portugal international. He also has, this is key here, guys, he also has a 57 million release clause that can only be triggered by top European clubs. What's that top European club? Bayern Munich, or Bayern München, as my friends in Germany would like to say. Bayern Munich are willing to spend 57 million to trigger this release clause for the 31-year-old. What would you do with that, guys? What would you do? Would you accept that offer? Bear in mind he's 31. Would you do that? Now, guys, I'm going to have my opinion in a bit. I just want to carry on this. However, United are keen to retain the key playmaker after he recently surpassed David Beckham's club record for most assists in a single season. To secure his future, the club may look to offer Fernandes a new contract with improved terms, guys. Now, this is key. This is key. Look, in my opinion, I don't think we should sell Bruno Fernandes. I don't. And there's a simple reason. We're going to be bringing in a few players in the summer. There's a lot of players that are going to be leaving Manchester United. There's a lot of players that are surplus to requirements, going to be going. And we need experienced heads in our football club. If we get rid of all the experience, we're already losing Casemiro. If we get rid of all the experience at our football club, we're going to be left with a bunch of new players that don't understand the football club, haven't played for the football club before. Now, Bruno Fernandes represents Manchester United. I know he's 31, and I know a lot of people are looking at to sell him at the moment. I know. And look, guys, in the summer, when we were offered 100 million, I was saying consider it. And I still say that in regards to that. 100 million is an astronomical amount of money for a 30-year-old, right? 31-year-old. It's an astronomical amount of money. And what you can do with that money, is ridiculous. But what I would say is this. 57 million, major club release clause. I just wouldn't do it. However, if Bayern Munich come in with a 57 million offer, and not only Bayern Munich, Galatasaray are also interested in Bruno Fernandes. I mean, would you consider Galatasaray a super club in Europe? I don't know. That remains to be seen. Where's the limit to super club? Where is it a big club? Where do you get to the big club level? That's what I want to know, guys. Bayern Munich are definitely a big club. And if they come in with a 57 million offer, what would you guys do? I want to know the community. I mean, would you accept the offer? Would you take the offer? I mean, for me, at 57 now, forget about it. Forget about it. Absolutely not. I think that what Man United should do is just let Bruno Fernandes retire at Man United, and that's it. And sometimes there's players who come along who epitomise Manchester United and are unsellable, no matter how old they are. And I think that having Bruno Fernandes around and then incorporating Bruno Fernandes into a coaching role eventually, which I heard he wants to become, he wants to go into sort of coaching and management, that will be perfect for Man United, in my opinion, keeping him around the club, because we need players of that ilk around the club. We need that personality. We need that experience around the club. Now, obviously, Bruno Fernandes, contrary to other players in our squad, is successful in regards to international level. He's won things with Portugal. He's experienced winning. Not many of our squad have experience in winning, and what I would say is that to keep him at the football club, to nurture the younger players coming through, I'm including like JJ Gabriel and Shea Lacey and all these players, to nurture those players coming through. I think it's imperative. I think it's very important, underrated. We can't just have buy Diamande and buy another young player, Keith Schmidt and Saido Mala, if they haven't got experience to nurture them into the team, it's a dangerous thing to do. At this present moment in time, where Man United are and where Man United will be next season, which is potentially in the Champions League as well, we're going to have to negotiate very difficult games potentially. So what I would say is that keeping Bruno Fernandes would be a huge plus. Losing Casemiro, which it looks likely we're going to do, is also doubles down the reality that we need to keep Bruno Fernandes. Now, I'm not saying that he's everyone has their price. I know that. And I know that 100 million is a lot if Man United sold him for 100 million. But 57 million release clause, what I would do, as Manchester United has said here, the thing is here, it does look like Bruno Fernandes will be offered a new contract, maybe a year extension on this contract, maybe a reshaped contract that doesn't have this release clause in it, because obviously the 57 million release clause is a little bit worrying for me, because if Bayern Munich come in, a Barcelona come in, a Real Madrid come in for 57 million, they have to accept. They can't do nothing about it because it is a release clause, and then it's going to be down to Bruno Fernandes what he wants to do. So yeah, tying him up to a new contract. I know he's 31. Give him another 2-3 years, and he can retire at Man United. That's what I would say about that. I don't want it to stifle the younger players. I don't think when Bruno Fernandes starts getting a little bit on, when he starts getting to 32, 33, 34. But as we know these days, guys, players are a lot more fitter these days in regards to their diet and the way they look after themselves and things like that. Players are a lot more fit. And I think Bruno Fernandes could play up to 36, maybe more. Guys, I don't think he'll get up to the Cristiano Ronaldo level. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo is a different animal. But what I would say is that Bruno Fernandes can play up to 35, 36 years old. And why not keep him at Manchester United? Why not have him as a linchpin, as a representative of what Manchester United are? I know this is going to, divide fans. I know this is going to have opinions. People are going to have opinions. And I respect everyone's opinion about that. But I just want people to understand that Manchester United are going to be in a rebuild this summer, potentially, hopefully, and a lot of new players are going to be coming into the team. So having the experience, not only just experience, I'm not talking about the Luke Shaws and stuff like that, having experience at Man United, I think is very important. It's very important, and especially a player like Bruno Fernandes. And we've got players like Shea Lacey and JJ Gabriel coming through, if you know what I mean. They could look up to Bruno Fernandes and learn from him, and he can be nurtured. He can nurture them into the team, and slowly we can start drifting them into the team and stuff like that. Is very, very important, in my opinion. Of course, guys, let me know what you think about that, guys. Bruno Fernandes away in the summer. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, of course, how that develops. A big factor in this, let me just reiterate, a big factor in all this is if Manchester United qualify for the Champions League or not. Man United look likely to qualify for the Champions League, barring a disaster. Man United do look likely to qualify for the Champions League. And another little stipulation here is what Bruno Fernandes thinks about the project, right? I'm hearing a lot about the project. I'm hearing a lot about if he's attracted to the project. And this is another thing. This is why I keep talking about the manager and what the future is going to be. Is he going to attract new players to the football club? Are new players, good players, big players, going to be attracted by the project? And I think this is another thing with Bruno Fernandes, what Bruno Fernandes is looking at. If Bruno Fernandes gets a chance to move to Bayern Munich, he's got a chance to win a few league titles. He's got a chance maybe to win the Champions League. Who knows? And I think he's looking at that. And we have to face reality around that, and we have to look at every single side of the argument. The project is very important. Just like what Anderson said, if he's attracted to the project, he will be. He would like to sign for that football club. It's not just about money. And some players like Anderson and that, they got very big decisions to make. Because this is a big decision in their career. Now, I personally think that if Michael Carrick had the sufficient backing of the board, I'm telling you, like a proper backing, I'm saying 400, 500 million, which we need, by the way, because we're losing about 200 million in players, guys. I would say that, give him a chance, keep him. Let's see what happens, and let's see if we can go forward with it. However, If Luis Enrique is around, I would say get Luis Enrique, like I've always said, because I feel like Luis Enrique will be more of an attractive proposition for potential suitors, of course, guys. Let me just say hello to all the community members. I hope you're all doing well. Good to see you. I hope everyone is blessed, of course, man. Good to see you, Ephraim. How you all doing? Good to see all bars one. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Smash a like. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing well, my friend, of course. Good to see you. JSN, the cool kid. You're the cool kid today because I like that comment, mate. I like that. If Bruno was to leave, I'd like to see us replace him with Nico Paz or Rodrigo Mora. Now, look, JSN, I love it. I love what you're saying here, mate. I feel your comment, mate. It's a very good comment. I like Rodrigo Mora a lot. I like Nico Paz a lot. I like these two players. Nico Paz is doing phenomenally well at Como. Rodrigo Mora is doing phenomenally well at Porto. I would love those two players at Manchester United. However, Nico Paz has an agreement. He has like a sort of attachment to Real Madrid. I think it's a contractual attachment to Real Madrid. In regards to Rodrigo Mora, yeah, very good player in my opinion. I like him, and he's another one of those Porto players that come off the conveyor belt. If you remember Deco and players of that ilk, of course. I think Rodrigo Mora is going to be an absolute superstar. I mentioned these two on the show before. They are on Manchester United's transfer wish list. However, it has gone a little bit quiet in regards to these two players. But I do like these two players. I do like them. And if we signed a Nico Paz or Rodrigo Mora, I think it'd be a very good signing. I actually think that Nico Paz or Rodrigo Mora could potentially replace Bruno in the long term. And this is exactly what we're talking about. Even if we keep JSN, even if we keep Bruno Fernandes, if we can nurture the likes of Nico Paz or Rodrigo Mora, especially in particular Rodrigo Mora because he's Portuguese. But this is what we're talking about. Like if Bruno Fernandes stays and we sign a Rodrigo Mora, slowly but surely you can integrate Rodrigo Mora into the team, if you know what I mean. And I think that's an absolutely brilliant idea. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, with Ineos, with the Glazers, we're very financially focused. We don't really focus on what's good on the pitch as much as we should. Of course, this is why all I hear about in a positive light is the stadium, which I couldn't give a damn about, to be a fair, honest, guys. I couldn't give a damn about the stadium at the moment. I care about what happens on the football pitch, and I care about a successful Manchester United. That's what I care about. But definitely Nico Paz or Rodrigo Mora. Nico Paz is going to be wanted by a number of clubs around Europe, of course, playing under Cesc Fabregas's his philosophy. And he's a very good player, of course. Big up Sanjay. Hope you're doing well. It's good to see you, of course. Big up Paul. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. David, good to see you, mate. David Pierre McIntosh. What a name, my friend. Good name. What I would say is that Bruno Fernandes with Cole Palmer. Ooh, that's going to divide opinion. That's definitely going to divide opinion. Bruno Fernandes for Cole Palmer. Wow. I wouldn't look at the end of the day. It depends, doesn't it? It's like my guy up there said Nico Paz or Rodrigo Mora. I think Man United need to look at more value in the market. Cole Palmer's going to cost an astronomical amount of money. I'm not going to say and talk about his performances this season. He's not happy at Chelsea, but I'm also not going to flip-flop from my philosophy and what I believe in, which is that if you're playing for a football club, you perform no matter what, because I talk a lot about Carlos Baleba in regards to that. So I would say that Cole Palmer hasn't played well this season. He's a little bit injury prone. That's a little bit of a worry as well. We have to look at that critically as well. I think Man United need to be very, very shrewd in the market, very clever. If we sign Cole Palmer, fantastic. But Cole Palmer's a £100 million player, isn't he? And he's going to, that's going to be a huge bunch of our transfer budget, of course, especially the fact that Man United need midfielders. I think if Man United sign another attacking player, I would go after a Nico Paz or Rodrigo Mora. I'm happy with Cunha and I'm happy with Mbeumo. I think they will develop next season. I think they'll be brilliant next season. And we can add Nico Paz, Rodrigo Mora as players that can come off the bench, as players that could be slowly integrated into the team, rather than Cole Palmer, who requests a first team position straight away. However, if Bruno left, it wouldn't be, he would go straight into that team. And I wouldn't think it'd be a bad replacement. Of course not, £100 million player, Man United fan, etc., etc. It wouldn't be bad. However, it's just the price tag is a little bit off-putting for me. 100, 120 we're looking at. It's a lot of money. And I would say I would love him at Man United. Absolutely. Of course, who wouldn't love Cole Palmer at Man United? Someone asked me yesterday, are there any Chelsea players that you would like at Man United? And Cole Palmer was one of them, along with Calzado and Cucurella and these type of players, you know. And I would say that, yeah, look, if we sign Cole Palmer, I just don't want it to stifle our potential of signing midfielders, you know, because we do need midfielders and we do need fullbacks, of course. Absolutely. Be realistic. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not realistic. JSN, Man United are huge fans of Cole Palmer. I do know that Man United are going to make one very, very big signing. The key is, though, JSN, is that if they sign this big player, are they going to sign enough players? And this is obviously going to be the problem going forward. I do agree that Cole Palmer is a little bit pricey. 100 million, 120 million. Guys, we have to be realistic. He's one of the best players, performing players over the last couple of years in general, not just England, you know. And I think that, you know, if we sign him, great, but I don't want it to stifle the potential of us signing more players in that squad, because we need a bigger squad. Like JSN, my guy said, he said, like players like Nico Paz, obviously Rodrigo Moura. Now, guys, let me get into some transfer news surrounding Manchester United, of course. Now, Manchester United, as I said just now, are looking at bargains around the world. Now, a player that I've mentioned numerous amounts of time is an Argentinian under-20s international, 15 caps for Argentina, under-20s, 5 goals, is Ian Sabiabra. Ian Sabiabra is a 19-year-old who plays for River Plate. Guys, the key to this deal is that his contract expires in December 2026. Now, December 2026 would be a free transfer. So what that means is that Man United could potentially come in with a little bit of an enticing offer of around 10 million euros, guys, just to like a little bit of softening money to River Plate so they don't lose Ian Sabiabra on a free transfer. 10 million is the asking price, but Sabiabra is ongoing contract talk. So if he signs a new contract, Sabiabra is going to be 40, 50 million easy, guys. 19-year-old, one of the next big things to come out of Argentina. Very good player, very capable. Right wing, left wing, centre forward. One of those sort of players. He reminds me of Riquelme. If those who know Argentinian football from back in the day, Juan Roman Riquelme, he reminds me of him. Very, very good player. And I think Man United should fight tooth and nail to get these sort of players. And this is exactly what we're talking about. It's not just about buying the superstars and the 50 to 100 million pound players. It's also about finding the next big star. And I think Ian Sabiabra will be that next big star. Obviously, before he goes to Manchester City, because we know what Manchester City do, they like to sweep up the players that Manchester United want, in particular, the young players that come through, and they end up loaning them out and stuff like that. So I think it's very important that Man United act quickly when it comes to Ian Sabiabra and get him through the door. He's not going to cost an arm and a leg, so to speak, of course. So Ian Sabiabra, Manchester United linked, only 19 years old, guys. River Plate. Of course, we all know about River Plate and the history of River Plate. I just said one, and the players that they brought through over the years, along with Boca Juniors and teams like that, of course. So I would say that, yeah, look, there's not as many Argentinian players coming through the ranks than there used to be, just like the Brazilians. But when you see a player like Ian Sabiabra, I think you've got to snap him up. And this is something that we've been lacking over the years. Our South American scouting, in particular in Argentina and Brazil. Yes, we go out there and we find the next Colombian or the Ecuadorian or the Mexican, so to speak. But we're not very potent in Argentina and Brazil. I mean, we got Uruguay, we got Diego Forlan, didn't we? Barella. And players like that, but we haven't really been as potent with River Plate players, with Boca Juniors players, and for example. And we all know that they do produce a lot of great players, of course. Now, another player that you may be more accustomed to, you may know more about, is Castillo Loqueiba. Castillo Loqueiba is a centre back. Now, why I'm bringing Castillo Loqueiba as news today, of course, is because he is linked to Manchester United. He's 23 years old, valued about 40 million euros, guys. He signed from Lyon to Leipzig for about 35. So Leipzig would be willing to do business with about 40 to 50 million. But 40 million is his minimum price tag. Arsenal are also interested in Castillo Loqueiba. Now, What is key in this deal, guys? We got a little rebellion coming up. We got a rogue. We got a player who's gone rogue. Who's that player that's gone rogue? It's none other than Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire has basically said Manchester United must strengthen the squad, and he's not willing to take a significant pay decrease, guys. So this is very important. So Maguire wants to know the project. Basically, Maguire wants to know the project before he signs a new contract at Manchester United. Now, guys, I'm not sure how much Harry Maguire is on. Let me just see how much Harry Maguire is on. Harry Maguire wages. So let me just see how much Harry Maguire is on. Harry Maguire, a week. Let me just say a week start. Harry Maguire is basically on 190 grand a week, right? That's not including bonuses and stuff like that. In football, you get appearance bonuses, goal bonuses, clean sheet bonuses, whatever. You get all that business. He's on 190k a week. Now, it's these days, for me, that's not too much in regards to Harry Maguire. But apparently, Man United want to give him a new contract on a decreased wage, guys. So Harry Maguire wants to know the project first. He wants to know what's going to happen with Manchester United. Fair enough. He wants to know who Man United are going to sign, if Man United are going to sign any players. Now, obviously, that could work two ways. That could work two ways in regards to Harry Maguire. The board might think, oh, Harry, you're getting a bit too outspoken now. You're talking a little bit too much. What are you talking about? We used to like you, Harry Maguire. What's going on, Harry? And or they could take it like, yeah, well, he's right. You know what I mean? At least he's ambitious and he wants to win with Manchester United. I think it's the first option. I think that's what they'll probably think. They'll probably let go of him now and not offer him a new contract. That's what probably will happen. Obviously, at Harry Maguire's age, he wants to play top-level football. He wants to be in the England squad, of course. Absolutely. And you know, he wants to solidify that position in the England squad. And I don't blame him, to be honest with you. And asking if United are going to strengthen the squad, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think Man United do need to have the pressure put on him. I think the board do need to have the pressure put on them. However, having said all that, Manchester United are linked to Castella-Locaba, conveniently, 40 million euros. Would you replace Maguire with Locaba? I probably would. I'd probably move on from Harry Maguire. Although I really like Harry Maguire, I think Harry Maguire, in regards to his professionalism, you can't get much better than him. You can't. I mean, you think about the things that Harry Maguire has gone through in regards to his alleged incident in Greece, or the captaincy being taken away from him and things like that. I think that Harry Maguire is a model professional on the pitch. You know, a lot of people are going to say off the pitch and stuff like that, you know, but I would say that if it became between Castella-Locaba for the future or Harry Maguire, I would say Locaba, because I think Man United need to, like, you know, move on forward and think about the future for the coming years, not just now. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, Manchester United do have problems in the defensive area at the moment, with Licha Martinez obviously injured again. We got De Ligt obviously injured again. You know, Mazraoui has been injured. And as I said many times, I've spoken to Bayern Munich fans before we signed De Ligt and Mazraoui, and he said that they're both injury prone. So we have to take that into account, and we have to obviously analyse that critically. Also, in regards to the left back position, Luke Shaw, I think he's finished at Manchester United. I don't think he could play another season. I think he's already played enough seasons at Manchester United. Since Louis van Gaal days, is absolutely crazy when you're thinking about it, and isn't it? I do see Dorgu being the mainstay in that left back position. I think Dorgu is absolutely brilliant, and I think he's highly underrated as well. And I do see Diego Leon maybe getting into the squad by next season. I do think we need a right back as well. I do think a right back needs to come in, a right back that is defensively sound and also can attack and give us that option and that outlet on the right wing, you know, in regards to overlapping runs and things like that. I don't think we have enough of that. I really don't. And I think we need to look at that. I do think Man United need to build, and a build should be a build. For example, Castilla-Locaba is going to be a very, very good signing for that defensive line. And also, the thing is, he's 23 years old, guys. Arsenal were interested in him. We got the likes of Aiden Heaven and we got the likes of Lenny Yoro. I think he would complement those defenders very, very well. And we could do a little bit of a rotation with it, guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are two names that are coming off the chocker blocks, guys. Let me know what you think. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of names that are going to be mentioned over from now until the summer. Doesn't mean that any of them are myths. A lot of them are going to be true. A lot of these players, Man United are linked to. And the funniest thing is like I reiterate what I said yesterday, is that I mentioned a lot of these players, and a lot of these players have been linked to Man United before, which doubles down on the narrative that they are very, very admired by Manchester United. And basically doubling down, isn't it? Because I mentioned him again. You know, Ian Seberabra is a player that I mentioned months ago, of course, when he was 18 years old, I think 17, 18 years old. And I was saying that Man United need to make the move. And now suddenly we are starting to move forward, obviously, because they're probably looking at the price tag and probably looking at Seberabra and thinking, yeah, you know what I mean? Let's go and get him. He looks very good. You know, he's not going to break the bank and stuff like that. Castella, however, probably will break the bank, especially if Arsenal come in for him. You know, we probably have to spend about 50 to 60 million on him. But Arsenal are looking at a defender as well as cover for Gabriel and Saliba. And Castilla-Lokeba is the guy that they are looking at as well, which doubles down on his talent, of course, guys. Let me just read more of your comments, guys. And let me just say, Black Sheep, thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate you, Black Sheep. You're an absolute legend, my guy. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you. And it's good to see you again. I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you, mate. And I hope you're blessed, my guy. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel as well, my friend. Absolutely. Thank you so much, my guy. Let me just read the next one. Big up Arman. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Big up Leeson. What's going on? How you doing? If Bruno goes, what player do you want in? Can I be honest with you? I mean, I might be in a minority here. I like Kenan Yildiz of Juventus. I like him. He can play across that line as well. He is more of a left. I know that, but I like Kenan Yildiz. I really do. I would love him at Manchester United. I would. I do like Rodrigo Mora. I do like what JSN is saying there. I like Rodrigo Mora. I like Nico Paz. I like these kind of players because obviously they could play for Man United for a number of years as well. There's not an array of players out there anymore on the same level as Bruno Fernandes, who is at the end of the day. But, you know, Bruno Fernandes is last of that generation. And I don't think there's many players out there that I would say, yeah, he's the guy. Get him by hook or by crook, get him. Of course, there's Cole Palmer, but we have to, you know, Cole Palmer would be like bittersweet because obviously, you know, he's a great player, but his price tag is ridiculous. And I wouldn't want Man United to sign Cole Palmer and neglect the midfield again. Do you know what I mean? If we sign Anderson and Cole Palmer and Angelo Stiller and Carlos Baleba and all these players, oh, fantastic, loving it. You know what I mean? And but I don't think we're going to do that. So this is why I agree with the players such as Rodrigo Mora and Nico Paz and Kenan Yildiz. I also like Said El-Mala, and I also like Keith Schmidt as well. I like these players as well. These are the ilk of players that I think Man United can build on to go forward. Because when you're looking at Man United at the moment, obviously we've got Mbeumo, we've got Sesko, we've got Cunha. Bring in a Keith Schmidt, bring in a Said El-Mala, or bring in a Rodrigo Mora, bring in a Nico Paz. It's not bad, is it, at the end of the day, you know, and you got that mixture of experience and youth, which would be very good. But one thing I would say, and I want to reiterate this, reiterate is the word for today. I want to say this, JJ Gabriel is eligible to play next season. And I do think that we need to give JJ Gabriel some game time because I'm so excited about this player. I've done a video of JJ Gabriel only a few weeks ago, guys. Check it out. I'm so excited about JJ Gabriel. I really am. And I don't want us to stifle the development of the JJ Gabriel. I want him to have his fair share of football. As with Shea Lacey, we all know that Shea Lacey is very good as well. And we have to look at that as well. It's not just buying the superstars and buying the players. We have to look at our youth academy as well, of course. Absolutely. And Marcus, how you doing, my brother? I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Big morning, Sal. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, Robert. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. I understand that the Beastles, but I didn't. Newcastle tried to poach Morgan Gibbs from Nottingham, and the owner, Dan Near, had a hosted video of Morgan saying he was happy to be at Forest. What's the rule? I don't know. It depends on the player, mate. It depends on his contract at the end of the day. I know that Morgan Gibbs-White is also interested with Manchester United, by the way. Morgan Gibbs, very good player. I'm so shocked, by the way, about Nottingham Forest. Murillo, Morgan Gibbs, Sangare, Anderson at their football club, Jesus at their football club. They got a very good football team. I don't know why they're in the relegation zone. I really don't. You're looking at them and you're thinking, how can they be in the relegation zone? They've got so much talent in their side, in their squad. I don't really get it. But it does depend on contractual issues and stuff like that, and the person as well, guys. Absolutely, it does depend on that. Absolutely. No, Carl Palmer, says Marcus, likes the nightlife too much for me. We already had that with Rashford. Don't need that here. For amount he's going to cost, my opinion. That's your opinion, Marcus. I respect it. And I do agree to an extent. I do think that the off-field and personalities of player and their habits is very important. And I think that is something that we've neglected over the years in the transfer market. Alex Ferguson used to do it very well. There were certain players in the Premier League, like we could have signed, and brilliant players as well. But Alex Ferguson's pulled the plug on the deal and said no, because you know what? I don't like his lifestyle and the way he is and stuff like that. And yeah, that's what basically, that basically is very, very happy. Very, very important, of course. Absolutely. Jude, that would be telling. My source. Nobody gives out their sources, my friend, but it depends who you're talking about. Which player you're talking about, I'll give you the source, my friend. I've mentioned a few players right now. Ephraim, big up. Sal, if we do not get Anderson, who will be your choice? I think there needs to be a complement of two players, right? And we need to build a relationship in the midfield. I think that's very important, that Man United need to build a relationship with two players in midfield. And I think football, being successful, is all about building relationships around the pitch. For example, when Gary Neville played at right back, you would have David Beckham and Gary Neville building that relationship, or Dennis Irwin and Ryan Giggs building that relationship, or Paul Ince and Roy Keane building that relationship, or Paul Ince and Brian Robson building that relationship. And I think Man United need to build these relationships on the pitch. And for me, that depends who Man United, what caliber of player Man United are looking for. We naturally need to look for a number 8, and we naturally need to look for a number 6. Now, bearing in mind, we've already got Kobe Mainoo at the football club, and I see him as a kind of number 8, kind of stroke number 10. So I would say that we need a number 6 stroke number 8, right? You don't get the traditional Kantés anymore. You don't get the Didier Deschamps anymore, as I said yesterday, the water carriers and things like that. I don't think that kind of player exists anymore. I think players these days are more versatile. They play in various positions on the pitch, which helps, of course, especially when you have to sign loads of players. But for my choice, if we don't sign Anderson, my choice will be Wharton and Stiller. That would be my choice. Right, that would be my choice, or be Amadou Onana or Stiller. That would be. I'm a big fan of Stiller. I really, really like this player. I really do, and I think that he reminds me of Tony Cruz. He's very good at passing the ball, breaking the lines. Very good player, and he's not going to cost 100 million, if you know what I mean. But it would be a player like Wharton and a player like Stiller. That's what I would go for. Anderson's, of course, is the one I want. I think Man United should prioritize Anderson above anyone else. It would be nice if Man United worked on more than one deal at a time, which we don't do notoriously. We're not good at working on more than one deal at a time. But definitely, I would love Anderson and Stiller. That is my first choice. Anderson and Stiller, I think, will complement each other very, very well. Having watched both of them quite intensively. Baleba, I think that if we do sign Baleba, and let me tell you something about Baleba, guys, I do think Baleba looks the most likely midfielder coming to Man United, whether we like it or not. He looks the most likely midfielder to come into Manchester United, having done the groundwork in October and stuff like that, as I've said many, many times, of course. And if we got an Anderson, a Stiller, and a Baleba, I think that'd be brilliant, along with Kobe Mainoo. I just don't think we're going to do it, though. This is my problem with it. I can have my notions. I know that Man United are interested in all these players. But for me, the feeling that I'm getting around the football club is that Man United are going to sign one or the other. They're not going to sign him and him, and that is the biggest concern for me. What Man United are going to look at, they're going to look at the first team. They're going to say, well, we don't need another midfielder because we've got Kobe Mainoo. And we've got, we bring in Anderson, and then great, fantastic, brilliant. This is what I'm worried about, because I do think Man United need 3 midfielders in there. I think that Man United and Ugarte's relationship is over. I think Ugarte could be leaving the football club. I think he needs to leave the football club. I don't think it's worked out for him for whatever reason. I think we should make some money on Ugarte and move on from him and bring someone else in. However, I can actually see Man United keeping Ugarte because they can't do the deals that they need to do quick enough before the start of next season, unfortunately. I would also Osman Diomande as well. Osman Diomande, of course, is JSN. But again, we're talking about what you said earlier, isn't it? Realism. Now, Osman Diomande won't be much less than Cole Palmer. Osman Diamande's valuation is about 100 million euros, guys. And it's a lot of money for a Bundesliga player. And as we know, when you think about the Bundesliga, just like Liverpool have proven, they sign a few Bundesliga players, Frimpong and Kirk, and obviously Florian Wirtz, and they haven't quite worked out, And when you spend a lot of money from players from the Bundesliga, I think it's extremely risky. For me, I love Osman Diomande, having watched Osman Diomande for a long time. I think he'd be a brilliant signing, but not for 100 million euros. I think he's a 50 to 60 million euros player at best. However, they're not going to do that, And when you've got other teams lurking around him, like Arsenal, like Liverpool, who are lurking around him at the moment, and PSG, the price is always going to be a lot of money, and because there's going to be a transfer battle between the clubs and things like that. But I absolutely agree with you. I think Osman Diomande is a brilliant player, fantastic talent, and generational in this period. But I just wouldn't pay the money for me. I don't think it's a priority for Man United. I really don't. I think Man United should really focus primarily on fixing that midfield, solidify that midfield, and then we can think about the cherry on the icing on the cake. And that's what I would say about that. Yes, there's a lot of skepticism about, obviously, Cunha as a left midfielder. I also believe in Patrick Dorgu as a left midfielder as well. I think Patrick Dorgu, before he got injured, was doing very well in that position. And we have to analyze things critically in regards to that. If Patrick Dorgu was playing in the Bundesliga, for example, would he be £100 million player? And would we be here talking about Patrick Dorgu and things like that? Do you know what I mean? So what I would say is that we have to analyze it. It's quite obvious that Diomande is a very talented player. There are a number of players that I like, especially as I've done the AFCON watch along this year. And I saw a lot of players. Maza from Algeria was absolutely brilliant. That I saw. There was a Diakite from Mali, a winger on the left, was absolutely incredible. I mean, I don't know if guys watched the AFCON, but, I saw a lot of talent. And I would have liked to think that Man United were there scouting, do you know what I mean? And, they could probably get much more of a bargain. You know what I mean? But definitely Osman Diomande, if Man United managed to sign him, it'd be a brilliant signing, absolutely fantastic signing. I just don't think it would be wise to do it before we fix the midfield, if you know what I mean, because I got this sneaky feeling that Man United are going to spend a long time fixing that midfield. They're going to spend a long time on the Andersons, on the Whartons, the Stillers, the Belabors to an extent, and obviously the other midfielders that may come in, of course. Glazers out, Ineos out. Yeah, look, guys, I want to talk about the Rashford thing. Now, there's rumours circulating about Marcus Rashford, about should we bring Marcus Rashford back? Should Marcus Rashford come back to Manchester United? Now, I've said it firmly. I would not bring Marcus Rashford back to Manchester United. There's a number of reasons, and it's not just footballing-wise. Marcus Rashford is a disruption to the morale of the squad. I want people to look at what Man United are right now, right this moment, okay? I want people to analyse the players' body language on the pitch. And I want people to look at it and look at the way we're playing and look at the camaraderie between the players and stuff like that, especially when we score a goal. There's a lot of good vibes at Man United at the moment. And I don't think that Man United should be bringing in anyone who's going to disrupt that. I think Man United need to make their money on Marcus Rashford. I know there were talk about a swap deal with Barcelona with Caicedo or Alejandro Balde. However, obviously, with the FFP and PSI, it makes it very difficult because Marcus Rashford is homegrown. And what they do in PSR and FFP, correct me if I'm wrong, what they do in PSR and FFP, if we have a player that's homegrown, they will basically take the price of that player. And then if we swap him with Caicedo, they'll take the price of that player, add them together, and then it will go on our FFP and PSR against it. So if I'm not wrong, guys, correct me in the comments. But what I would say is that I would love to do a swap deal with Marcus Rashford. I just don't think it's going to happen, even though it will be a blessing and it will kill two birds with one stone, of course. but I would not take him back at Manchester United, and I would take 25 million from him all day long. I don't think he's absolutely smashed it at Barcelona. I speak to Barcelona fans. They're like, yeah. Look, guys, if Marcus Rashford was smashing it at Barcelona, if he was smashing it at Barcelona right now, why don't Barcelona want to spend a measly amount of 30 million on him? You know, they would rip your arm off. Honestly, I know that Barcelona are stingy, you know, but they would rip your arm off. Absolutely. Big up Saka. What's going on, my friend? Shaw wants a new boss. He's had a lot of those, hasn't he? LT. Big up Sal, big up LT. How you doing, my friend? I'll be doing well. Maguire and Bruno can probably see the night through the Ineos bullshit, and I'm glad they are putting pressure on Ineos to actually have ambition in the transfer market. It's a good thing, LT. It's a very good thing. And as long as they pull through with it, as long as they follow through with it, as long as they carry on with that vibe, because I don't want it being like, all right, Maguire, we're going to give you your money, 200 grand a week, stay at us 2 years. All right, I'll sign a contract. I want the pressure to be on. And I think this pressure from Bruno Maguire, I think it's very significant. I really do think it's very significant because it does seem like they're not believing in the project. You know, it does feel like that they are not really interested in, vibes, with Michael Carrick and things like that. Who knows, I'm not saying that. I'm not speculating, but they might be like, okay, get Michael Carrick. He's the manager. What are you going to do next? Are you going to back him? We need money spent on this squad. We're going to be in the Champions League next season. And that's how they should be thinking. I applaud that. And I said it earlier. I applaud that. I applaud that kind of thinking because Man United fans and players need to think like this. They need to think, who are we going to sign? What's the project like? What are we doing, in the summer? And put pressure on them. Absolutely. I agree. Big up LT, of course. Sal Shaw says, Pops, I agree. I think Shaw, I said Sal Shaw about a couple of years ago. I think I've lost hope in regards to that, Pops, my friend. I think I've lost it in regards to him, to be honest with you. I just can't envision Man United now without Luke Shaw. I just can't, even though, it's a blessing that we need to sell him, but it won't happen. Do you think that we can challenge for the league next season? Oh, man, I'm going to analyze it after the transfer window. Now, I believe we can. There's a difference between saying we can and will it happen. Now, we can. We have the possibilities. We have the facilities to do that if we do the right moves in the summer. We don't have an astronomical amount of work to do in that team. There's a foundation there in regards to Man United. There are players at Man United right now that are Champions winners, like league winners, in my opinion. There's a lot of players in our team that are better than Arsenal's. Absolutely. So what I would say is that if Man United sign the right players, and I've mentioned a lot of them on this channel, if they sign the right players and they build the right squad, because obviously we're going to be playing in a numerous amounts of cups next season, then I would be more giddy. I always feel like thinking with glass half full if it happens. Now, if Man United manage to fix that midfield and the fullbacks, right, only, I think we could challenge for the league. Now, when you're looking at the league right now, let me just analyze the league right now. We're 15 points behind Arsenal, right? We're 6 points behind Man City. It should be 4 points behind Man City. Of course, we were robbed on Friday. But what I would say is that if we turn those draws into wins and those losses into draws, Man United be far closer. Now, when we're analysing the season as a whole, we think about December. That month was very, very hurtful to Manchester United because obviously we had the AFCON and we drew and lost a lot of games as we predicted because our squad wasn't big enough. Now, if we turn some of those wins and losses, into points, I think Man United would be much closer to Arsenal right now. And this is the fine margins in football. I don't think Man United as far back as people say, guys. And we slowly crept up that league. We are 6 points behind Man City. Should be much closer. Should be 4 points. An absolute scandalous display from the referee on Friday. Should be much closer. However, I would say next season, I think that Man United can challenge for the league if the board are serious and if the board give Michael Carrick or whoever's in charge of the football club what he wants. I think that's the most important thing. Morning, Sal. Did you see back studio? Yes, I did. Very good. Love it. How he went hump when asked of his thoughts on the current copper strikers around the world. Strikers these days just don't match up to his era. Absolutely not. And let me tell you something about Gabriel Batistuta. He had a bad ankle. He had a bad ankle, played with a bad ankle for many, many years, and still was a world-class striker. Absolutely. I think Gabby, I remember his game against Man United way back when, and he scored that cracking goal, went flying past, I think it was Roy Carroll, if I'm not wrong, but it went flying past him. Great goal. And I think that I've never seen a shot like it in regards to it. And he's right. I mean, what I would like players like Gabby or Batistuta to come out and start talking about the strikers these days. And the question that I would ask Gabby, Batty goal, the question that I would ask him is this, right? Being in Italy, he was a legend here, right? I would say that why do you think strikers these days are regressing? That is the one question I would ask Batistuta. I get annoyed that these questions don't get asked, really. What I would actually rephrase the question and say, why do you think that there's no big pool of strikers these days? I'd be interested to know what he says, because his era, I remember when Manchester United were linked to Batistuta, we were linked to him so many times. And I was like, oh, come on, we got to get Batistuta. We got to get Batistuta. And we never got him. It's okay because we were successful, and I'm happy we signed Dwight Yorke and things like that. If people remember, 98, 99, we were linked to Patrick Kluivert and Gabby Batistuta back in them days. We ended up getting Dwight Yorke, of course. I weren't happy with the Dwight Yorke sign. I thought, we need Kluivert and we need Batistuta. But learned my lesson with Alex Ferguson, because Alex Ferguson got it spot on, and obviously he complemented the squad. But yeah, no strikers like Gabby these days. Absolutely not. No chance. Getting Enrique would also be beneficial for the academy players, and the likes of Lacey and JJ Gabriel absolutely can benefit from this and could be great for their careers. Enrique just ticks all boxes. We all know LT. We all know he ticks all boxes. We all know he's a disciplinarian. He's a great person. He's a great man manager. He's a great tactician. He plays good football. He's educated. He's experienced. He's been at Sunday. He's won the Champions League. Everything about Enrique just ticks all the boxes for me. And I think if Man United were really and truly are serious about getting back to the top of the league, Luis Enrique will be that guy for me. Absolutely will be that guy for me. The problem is that Ineos and the Glazers have left themselves in a bit of a predicament. Maybe it's a good thing for them. Is that if they don't give Michael Carrick the job, if he gets in the Champions League, if, for example, the chance comes in that Man United bring in a Luis Enrique and it doesn't set the world alight in the initial games, in the opening stages, people are going to start saying, wow, we should have kept Michael Carrick and things like that. We left ourselves in that predicament. However, fortune favours the brave. Fortune favours the brave, and greatness wasn't built on comfort zones. That's what I would say about that. And I think that Manchester United need to bring in the best. I absolutely agree. My choice would be still Boadi. Boadi's a very good player. Very, very good player. Very young, but a good player. Spoken about Boadi a lot of times, of course. Boadi. He's going to be a French international for me, definitely. But he's the sort of player, Jay Hassan, that we bring in with the Anderson. You bring in Anderson, but you bring in a Boadi as well. Do you know what I mean? You bring in Stiller, Anderson, and Boadi. That's how you fix the midfield. That, for me, would be fixing the midfield. Now, all of these players will complement each other well. That's a good combination there, Stiller and Boadi. I like to see Boadi as more of a number 6, Stiller's more of a number 6 stroke number 8, guys. And I think that's a good partnership. Absolutely. Definitely. Most of fans believe shite Jim. No, they don't. We don't on this channel, mate. Most of us don't. I didn't see you protesting against Jim Ratcliffe. I haven't seen you at Old Trafford protesting against Jim Ratcliffe. I haven't seen you make movements against Jim Ratcliffe, mate, like I did with the 58th minute walkout and things like that. I haven't seen you go on Qatar television talking about how Jim Ratcliffe would be a bad move for Manchester United. I don't think you know about this community as well. No. And what I would say is that reiterate your phrase and talk about who do you mean, Who do you mean by that at the end of the day? We talk about who we're linked with, which is basic facts. Whether we sign them or not is another story. I've come on this channel 1,000 times and said we had a 4 out of 10 window last season. And believing in Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers will be like walking through hell with a blindfold and expecting not to get burnt. I've said that many, many times. If you tune in, of course. Big up, Ephraim, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much, Ephraim. Guys. Nearly 70 in the house. Let's get the lights up. Let's do this, guys. Very, very important, guys. You get the lights up and let's smash it, guys. Absolutely. My issue is that Baleba is probably done, so they're going to take time as to sign Baleba before the World Cup, and then during the World Cup doing nothing, and then sign it, send him in for probably sign. And what will happen is that the fans will get giddy, you know what I mean, and then wonder why we're not successful next season. You know what I mean? Exactly. But I agree with you. These are the kind of things that they do, LT. They've done it in the past, and I hate to be like PTSD, but they have done it in the past, and they'll do it again. Ephraim, agree, Sal. If they bring in Rashford back, it will not be good. I agree, absolutely. Red Times, what's going on? I hope you're doing well. If Bruno leaves, then Cunha as a CAM and Diamande as a winger. Love it. Love it. Would be nice. That'd be nice. Good comment. It's a good point, mate. I mean, playing Cunha as a 10. Yeah, I think he's creative enough. I think I'll give him a try. You know what I mean? But I still would bring in a Rodrigo Mora and a Nico Paz or something like that. Or, you know what I mean? Keenan Yildiz, you know what I mean? In case it doesn't work out as a number 10, of course. Big up, Mandem. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Big up, Sal in the chat. Get the likes up. Thank you so much, my guy. Spot on. Look at the current crop of strikers now. The striker market is dead. Getting a clinical number 9 these days is so tricky. It's hard, mate. I actually don't think it exists anymore, to be fair. I don't think it exists. Honestly, I don't. Guys. LT. I always wonder how Shaw and Dalot have survived this long at United. They're like cockroaches in a nuclear. You know what I mean? Considering Shaw is forever injured and fallen in how he plays because he doesn't overlap and Dalot isn't good enough. I don't know how they survive, LT. Obviously, Man United don't want to spend the money. The problem that I have with Manchester United, that I feel that they base everything around his personality. Like, it's a good lad sort of mentality, which doesn't get you very far. You know, he's a good lad. We keep him because he's a good lad sort of thing. Neglecting the talent. I like that a lot. I like his personality, you know, but he's just not for me. I think we need a better right back. Definitely 100%. I like Mantato in the reserves. I think in the youth team, I think we need to give him an opportunity as well in the first team squad. In regards to Shaw, I don't trust Luke Shaw, and I wouldn't trust Luke Shaw because he's sacked various managers from Louis van Gaal. So when you got a player like Luke Shaw, who's played for Manchester United since 2013-14, you know, and loads of managers have come by him, come and gone. Would you trust a player like that? Probably not for me. Luke Shaw is a good talker, of course. He's a good manipulator as well, as is Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford, for example, is the king of manipulators. He would perform well in training and then down tool in the game, you know, throw you under the bus. Wayne Fraser, what about Welbeck? What about him? 35 years old, great player. Very stupid to sell him originally when Louis van Gaal was in charge, of course. Very, very stupid. However, I think that ship sailed. Arsenal sold him. I think he's in a good place at Brighton. I will pick him for England instead of Solanke, in my opinion. I still would, because I think he'd be good off the bench. But one thing I would say about it, Wayne Fraser, if you're talking about a squad level, I don't think, guys, it would be such a bad idea, depending on the price, to bring in Danny Welbeck as a bench option to come on to play, to nurture Sesko, to be a cover for Sesko sometimes, you know. I don't think that'd be such a bad idea, in my opinion. The Baleba links are good going away, even if they mention that we have a list of Anderson, Tonali, and Wharton. Baleba is still being mentioned. I know it's easy deal, but come on, let's get better. I agree, man. Spot on. Good morning. I think Mantat's injured at the end of the season. Yeah, I'm speaking about next season. Big up Revert 7. I hope you're doing well. I'm speaking about next season, mate, not this season. He's not going to get in the squad this season. He's not in the first team squad anyway, so he's not going to get in there. Especially at this crucial period of the season where risks are very, very low. All Michael Carrick is concentrating at the moment is what's the safest thing to do to get the result. And you can see that by his team selections and things like that. But next season, I would like to see the development of Mantato. Whatever they do with him, I want them to focus on him because he plays in that position that we need. And see what he can do, guys. Really do. Or just loan him out and see what he can do. But the problem with what Man United are doing in regards to loans is that we're sending our loans to really low clubs. You know, and it doesn't help. I would love to see, like, for example, Obi Mikel play for Brighton. I would love to see Mantato play for Everton. You know what I mean? I would love to see that, but it never happens, does it? You know, it never. Shea Lacey play for Bournemouth or something like that for a season and see how it goes. You know, it will never happen. I mean, but we send our loans off to to Lausanne. You know what I mean? And teams like that. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Big up. Mandem, also, your thoughts on the Nathaniel Brown? I haven't watched the guy play, but word on the street is that he's mint and they're attacking. I've spoken about him many, many times, Mandem, on this channel. Was the first person to mention him on this channel. Great player, fantastic player, very good wing back. However, I'm not gonna flip flop from anything that what I'm gonna say. Right? Some people won't agree with this, but I've got a little bit of Frimpong vibes with Nathaniel Brown. Frimpong vibes, similar player, but Frimpong's on the right, Nathaniel's on the left. Now, the Bundesliga can be misleading. It can be. It really can. They are producing a lot of good youngsters, but because the Bundesliga is so misleading, the price tags of these players is astronomical, not least Nathaniel Brown. Now, Nathaniel Brown is a very good player at 40 million, right? At 30, 40 million, 50 million. However, having said all that, regardless, he's definitely an upgrade to Luke Shaw. But my feeling is that Man United are going to play Patrick Dorgu as a left back. And I think Patrick Dorgu is incredibly good. And I would like to see what will happen if Patrick Dorgu was playing in the Bundesliga, how it would be and stuff like that. Fingers crossed the injury for Patrick Dorgu isn't serious and it isn't long-term, of course. Absolutely. Revert 7, you're loan him out. He needs to develop. Yeah, loan him out. Needs to develop. His defensive game going forward is great. I agree with Revert 7. Like him a lot. I saw him in the friendly. I think it was Hong Kong or Asian All Stars last year ago, and really impressed me. He really did. And I do think that. But as I said there, Revert 7, when we loan out players, I don't want them being loaned to Lausanne and things like that. I'd rather them go to the Championship. I really would. I want them to be loaned in a competitive league, you know. Sekou Kone as well. I think he needs a loan. There's a few players there that do need that to build up their strength and stuff like that, you know. Another thing about Harry Amas, again, he's another one, of course, who's been on loan. He's done pretty well. What do you do with Harry Amas? Do you bring Harry Amas back? Do you give him a chance? Do you give Harry Amas a chance at Man United? I mean, he's been on loan. He was already pretty good before he went on loan, and a lot of people are talking about him playing as the first team for Man United. What we would do with Harry Amas as well? It's a good point. Big up, Revert 7. 10 more likes to 50. Thank you so much, United Man. Then big up yourself. Yes, 10 more likes, guys. The minimum is 50 likes. Come on, guys. You legends. Really appreciate you. Big up, Sal. It's a great show in Mo's channel. The disrespect of Paul Scholes in the panel is mad. People don't understand this, and let me just reiterate. Paul Scholes scored 155 goals in his career, didn't take penalties, right? Frank Lampard scored 211. He's took penalties and free kicks, right? So what I would say is that all round, Paul Scholes is a better player than all of them, right? People want to disrespect Paul Scholes. All I would say to you is that if they want, I could send you videos of Zinedine Zidane, Thierry Henry, Xavi and Iniesta, and ask them who their favorite player is out of Scholes, out of Gerrard, and out of Lampard. Also, go and ask Pep Guardiola who the best midfielder is of all time. Go on, Paul Scholes. You know, there you go. Absolutely, Paul Scholes has been admired around the world. A lot of players these days, or during especially the Barcelona golden period, modelled their game around Paul Scholes, you know, at the end of the day. And it's not just about stats. It's not just about stats. I don't want Belaber and Wharton together. I remember Fred and Magic together. It's horrific. Well, yeah. You remember that? You remember? Yeah, you remember that? I mean, look. Fred, I don't know. This is what we're talking about, in signings, isn't it? You've got to get the right profile. You've got to get the right profile, Fun Show. You've got to get the right profile player, definitely. I've never seen Frankfurt play, so personally, I can't judge. You have to just look at, if you don't watch the Bundesliga, you have to look at players that have, like, look, let me give you an example. I'll give you an example. Florian Wirtz, yeah? Before Florian Wirtz signed for Liverpool, every single fan around the world, Man United fans and other football clubs as well, were saying Florian Wirtz is the next big thing. If we sign Florian Wirtz, wow, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to flip-flop from that. We hold that at the end of the day. And Florian Wirtz, 150 million. So you have to look at it like that. The levels there, then there's levels there. However, we got Patrick Dorgu, and I think it's very important that we focus on Patrick Dorgu. And I think Patrick Dorgu would be a fantastic left back, left winger. Maybe he might be integrated into a left winger. Maybe, he played well there. I mean, he played there against Arsenal, scored that fantastic goal. And also Harry Amass, who's coming back, And then you have to look at that. And how would Harry Amass do in the Bundesliga? And we have to look at that critically. Also, Bundesliga players are being quoted astronomical figures. How can that value be 50 million for a left back? Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. And that is the starting valuation, my friend. That's the starting valuation. You have to be that. But I do like Nathaniel Brown. I do. Absolutely. I think when he recovers from his hamstring injury, Amass has to go back on loan. Most likely will. Scholes was a genius. Yeah, he was. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone who says otherwise never saw him play. They either never saw him play or they're a hater. That's it. Paul Scholes is light years ahead of Lampard and Gerrard. I'm sorry, he is. Trophy-wise, played in the Man United team, was one of our best players in that Man United team. Absolutely generational player. People don't want to talk about Paul Scholes. It's an awkward conversation for them to have. I can bring in the facts if they want. I think one of the main reasons the youth players find it hard to get in the first team is that we hardly have a good enough squad to integrate them during cup games because we never have depth. This is the thing. Man United, luckily, hopefully, we will last longer in the cup competitions next season, so we'll be able to see a lot of these players. And when these players do play, this is the time where they have to grasp it and take their opportunity. And that's what I'll say about that. Guys, I want to thank everyone for joining me. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Really appreciate you. Dorgu was what? Dorgu was what? I rated Dorgu before he signed for Man United. I was the first person to mention Dorgu. Guys, I was the first person to say, let's sign Patrick Dorgu. Do you know what I mean? And people are like, who's Patrick Dorgu? I said, we're going to sign Patrick Dorgu. Correct. I said, we're going to sign Patrick Dorgu. And you're like, people are like, who's Patrick Dorgu? Who's Patrick Dorgu? And I was like, you wait and see. And he's going to be the next Gareth Bale for me. I honestly think that. Guys, I've given you the link to Hussam's channel, which I will be on later on. Guys, I really appreciate everyone who joins the show every single day. Really appreciate you. We'll keep growing every single day. Guys, don't forget to smash a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. Put your notifications also when I go live. For example, on Hussam's channel later on, guys. I'm also doing a watch-along for Italy against Northern Ireland. Should be interesting, guys, later on tonight. So don't forget to join me for that, guys. Really would appreciate it. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy yourself. Don't forget to smash a like, guys. I'll see you soon. Take it easy. Peace.